It seems like the new film adaptation of George Orwell's Animal Farm has been the talk of the town for a good while now. It's currently by Molina as this year's War of the Worlds on Madame Web, a movie whose awfulness should be studied in film classes. And after finally seeing it for myself, yeah, the hate is justified. It's this generation's Lorax 2012 in that it downplays a literary classic by dumbing it down as a typical kids movie. Except this one's worse because at least the Lorax tried to maintain Dr. Seuss's environmental message as much as it takes its liberties. This movie tries to have its cake and eat it too. It has the basic character names, basic plot, and even some of the lines stripped from the book, but then you have stuff like Napoleon ripping a big ass fart and calling it the sound of freedom like subtle much Angel Studios, then playing the Price is Right theme while also giving Napoleon trendy nicknames like the Popo or the notorious P.I.G. In fact, I knew I was in trouble when, unlike the book and previous two adaptations, which take their time to establish Farmer Jones's neglect on the animals, leading up to Old Major holding a conference to say, maybe we should overthrow the humans and run the farm ourselves before dying, thus inspiring them to stage a revolt and chase Mr. Jones out. Here, the film starts with the animals being put into a slaughterhouse truck due to the farm being repossessed, and they just decide to revolt on a whim, not even 5 minutes in. Actually, the whole movie just feels rushed, like it wants to go through several scenes of the book with little to no room to establish character. It's all so rushed that the iconic ending where Napoleon standing on two legs as the 4 legs good, 2 legs bad tagline is changed to 4 legs good, 2 legs better, it's only in the middle of the film because we gotta make room for this new character lucky to have a cliched underdog who overthrows the big man story arc. The animation's not the worst but still looks ugly. The actors range from just there to severely miscast, and I've seen all the memes of, oh, they got Seth Rogen to play Stalin, but even when you take away the allegory, he's not at all threatening nor compelling as the main antagonist. Most of the movie he says like, hey, I think we should run the farm this way. I don't think you remember the rules correctly. Some animals are just more equal than others, you know? And the thing is, this movie was originally on the right track. Director Andy Serkis was developing this as a motion picture film utilizing this high frame rate shit that both Peter Jackson and Ang Lee were hyping up as the next big thing back then. He even had Netflix backing up the project and everything. But then all of a sudden, Netflix gave up on the project, so they had to resort to selling the movie to Angel Studios instead. And keep in mind, Netflix is the same studio who said this was okay, and this was okay. So you had to try hard to get Netflix to say no. And I think this has to do with the fact that in 2022, it was announced that the whole motion capture thing was dropped in favor of a CG animated movie written by certified comedy writer himself, Nicholas Stoller. Let me repeat that. Nicholas Stoller, the writer-director of lighthearted comedies like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Storks, and Bros, was writing the adaptation of a dark and dramatic allegory on the Soviet Revolution.
What could possibly go wrong?
Apparently, Andy Serkis said he wanted his adaptation to appeal to all audiences and spread the message about political corruption to a wide audience. Yeah, a story with complex political themes and vicious dark character deaths, and you want to adapt it into a children's film? Not to mention there's already plenty of kids media about capitalism. Robots, A Bug's Life, Zootopia, A Christmas Carol, which version, any of them? And I don't want to harp on Andy or anything, like some people, but I feel like he's missed the point of the original story. George Orwell didn't write Animal Farm to just be about capitalism. It was supposed to be a critique on communism specifically. It was supposed to be more than just a silly little story about talking animals. In fact, George Orwell specifically instructed bookstores to not put his novel in the kids section so nobody would be fooled into thinking it's something like Looney Tunes or Disney. I feel like this movie would have been seen as just a typical bad kids movie if it didn't share the same name or basic plotline as one of the greatest novels of all time. Or if Angel Studios marketing didn't feel as desperate as it is. Last thing I want to say here is that I think everybody agrees that Andy Serkis is one of the most underappreciated actors in recent memory. He brought motion capture to the spotlight by playing Gollum, followed it up by playing Caesar in the Apes reboot series, and in between has been in such projects as The Prestige, the Star Wars sequels, The Batman, and Endor. But as a director, he just chooses the wrong projects. Brave was just forgettable, Mowgli paled in comparison to the Jon Favreau version not long before. Not that those movies weren't competently directed, they were, but who even remembers those movies really? It's rather sad that behind the camera, his magnum opus has gotta be Venom 2 of all movies. Venom 2. I feel like the Hunt the Golem is Andy's last chance to prove himself as just as capable behind the camera as in front of it, because Animal Farm's current reputation has left a stain on his career that's going to be hard to wash off. But I think he can pull it off if he just finds the right script to work with. And hey, it's not like Animal Farm is the worst movie in the world. At least it's not AI propaganda.